There is no mystery as to why I wanted to become a fireman for as long as I can remember. My dad was a fireman. When I was young, I had every fire-related toy there was. Besides the usual fire trucks, ambulances, and ladder trucks, I had a burning village with cellophane fire in the windows. Over the years, I probably rescued 100,000 people, mostly women and girls. I didn't want any other toys for Christmas or birthdays. The only exception was stuffed toys. I had 7 Dalmatians of various sizes. My closet has a succession of fireman gear from size 3 ET on up. My name is Charlie Davis. I didn't take on the name Charlie until it was passed on to me when my father died. I was 12 at the time. He ran into a burning factory where dozens were trapped. After rescuing over 10 workers, he and 3 more workers had the ceiling collapse on them. We were told that the end was quick, and he didn't suffer much. I hope that was the case. One of the local fire stations is named after him. There were all kinds of hurtful emotions from losing my father, but the one that surprised me the most was anger. I was mad at fire. I felt that fire had deliberately challenged me to do something about taking my father away. I had nightmares of a flaming, fiery figure laughing at me while I was spraying it with an oversized fire hose. My spraying was always ineffective. I woke up each time determined to get revenge. All during high school, I prepared for my future vocation by studying science, keeping fit, and hanging out at the fire station. My mother implored me to develop other interests, including girls. I gave in and dated a few girls. Nothing serious developed until I found Amanda. We clicked from the very beginning. Attractive, caring, and she loved me. She seemed to like my focused desire to serve the community, and later, she certainly took advantage of my fit body. After going steady most of the last 2 years of school, we decided to get married. She had a job as a bookkeeper after having done well in accounting classes in high school. I applied to be a fireman. We had a garage appartement at my mother's house. I was accepted by the fire department and Storie training almost immediately. Amanda was proud to see me in my first real fireman's suit. At first, when I Storied working regular shifts, Amanda did not complain. She knew going into our marriage that I would be working weird shifts. We enjoyed ourselves. Regardless of the time of day, my schedule allowed me to be home. In a few years, with normal raises and promotions, we could afford to move into a small Storie house. More importantly, Amanda stopped taking the pill. 10 months later, we were blessed with the most beautiful baby girl. We named her Victoria Louise after her 2 grandmothers. I now had 2 loves in my life. Amanda's outlook on our marriage started changing even more after having our baby. For one, although she had a normal pregnancy, Amanda declared she didn't want to go through it again. She pursued me to get snipped since being on the pill made it hard for her to keep her ideal weight. We could always adopt if we wanted more kids. My time with Amanda became more valuable to her because of the amount of time she had to spend with our infant daughter. She needed my help with the baby, but she didn't want to give up time with me either. In addition, I began to hear more and more about her being worried that I would get hurt or killed on the job, leaving her alone to take care of Victoria. I dismissed her concerns. She knew as long as she had known me, I was going to be a fireman. It was up to her to adjust. My disrespect of her concerns was a big mistake on my part. After a couple of years, I went to be cross-trained as an MT. For 2 weeks, I was home nights on a regular basis. Amanda was ecstatic. I got to play every evening with Victoria, and I got to play later every night with Amanda. Amanda said often and strongly that this is the way it's supposed to be. She and I both regretted when I went back to regular schedule. It did not seem to matter much to Amanda that my being in an ambulance as an EMT meant I would be less likely to be in harm's way. She said all first responders were in danger. When Victoria was old enough for school, Amanda went back to work. She found out that she had a new boss who had moved here recently. Amanda said he seemed to be a very nice man who was raising a girl age after having lost his wife in a car accident. His move here was based parishly in wanting to get away from the town that had too many memories of his wife. Amanda said he often had a sad look on his face. She expressed sorrow for his situation. I didn't see the red flag. As time went on, I continued to be absorbed in my job and spending as much spare time with Victoria as possible. I didn't notice that my time and acts of affection with Amanda diminished during that time. I was going along on the assumption we were a typical family and would be forever. That was my feeling up to and until I received the petition for divorce. After being served at the fire station, I took sick leave and went home to confront Amanda. She was finishing up her packing. I was at a loss for words. She had plenty of words. You're probably shocked because you haven't had a clue about our marriage for years. My fears about your safety and your willing sacrifice of time with me just didn't mean anything to you. And don't you dare say I didn't see this coming. It has been there for you to see. You just chose not to see. Here's the deal. When Eric became my boss, we bonded. He was suffering from the loss of his wife. I was suffering from loss of time with my husband. We both had daughters the same age that we were basically raising by ourselves. They go to the same school and after school, daycare. Initially, we talked mostly about them. I lamented how little time you had for our daughter and even less for me. And don't you dare equate your time playing with her at night to what I had to do with her the rest of the time. Eric and I talked to each other. Remember when you and I used to do that? Eric and I consoled each other. We cried together. We hugged each other in sympathy. Eventually, we fell in love. Frankly, I was ready to take our love to a physical level way before he was. He kept saying he could not stand to be the reason behind breaking up a marriage. I finally convinced him that I would divorce you whether we made love or not. He gave in, and we've been intimate for a couple of months now. What it comes down to is, he's who I want now. I'm sorry to do this to you, mostly because of Victoria. I know you love her, and she loves you. I will allow you close to unlimited access to her, regardless of what the courts decree. The settlement I have offered in the petition is fair. You get the house, I keep my car, you pay child support, I don't get alimony, and we split the assets 50-50. Victoria and I are moving in with him and his daughter, Chloe. The address is on the divorce papers. Regardless of what you think, Eric is a good man. He and Victoria get along well. Victoria and his daughter already act like sisters. Although he was hesitant to support me divorcing, he is glad things are finally out in the open. He hopes that you and he can be civil to each other. Fat chance of that. I was hoping you would react better, but I guess emotions are too raw right now. Once you give it some time, I think you will see that this is the best for all of us in the long run, including Victoria. And just how is it going to be better for her? She will still have you as her father, and she will have a father figure who is actually present for the important things in her life. Damn it, Charlie, she deserves more than you are able to give her. Can't you see that? I guess not. Let me know when you want to see Victoria. She is already aware of what we're doing. Please understand the strain she is under and try not make it worse on her. Amanda headed for the door. Goodbye, Charlie. Amanda left. I called a divorce lawyer and asked what should I do. I was told that what she was offering was probably the best I could expect. I could pay him to delay the divorce, but the final terms were not likely to get any better. Only the wallets of the two lawyers would get the benefit. I signed the damn papers. Our marriage went out with a whimper, not a bang. I stericked a relationship with Kentucky bourbon until my chief told me it was either booze or my job, not both. I quit drinking. What I didn't quit was hurting or plotting revenge. I just couldn't think of any way of exacting some vengeance without directly or indirectly harming my daughter. Victoria, however, was hurting me more and more every time I saw her. She was reluctant to go anywhere with me unless her new sister, Chloe, could go too. When I heard her call him Daddy, it broke the parts of my heart that weren't already broken. The first time she broke a date with me because of an important family event did it for me. I could not bring myself to schedule another visit. Amanda had a few choice words for me, abandoning my child. I had a few choice words for Amanda and asshole ruining my life. I tried focusing on my job, the job I was born for, the job I always wanted, the job that cost me my family. Actually, I can't really blame the job as much as how I allowed myself to be consumed by it. I willingly admit my fault there. For all my devotion to my duty, to be honest, most of my job was boring. Usually I drove the ambulance. On a few occasions they had me work as a fireman, but 90% of the time I was an EMT. Most of our ambulance runs were either to pick up dead or dying people. Too many runs were just because the person was so large or physically handicapped that they didn't have any other means of medical transportation. Occasionally, we got to do CPR on a person who would have died sooner without us. Usually they died in the next few days. Then there were the dehydrated people who got a saline solution. We rarely got called to where there was a fire and even more rarely treated people for scrapes, cuts, and/or smoke inhalation. Like I said, boring, that is, until the alarm rang and I ran to the ambulance. As I got on the road, I recognized the address as Victoria's after-school daycare. My daughter would be there at this time. I floored it. I sideswiped a couple of cars who just had to try and make it through the intersection before the ambulance. "Sue me, assholes!" I weaved through traffic and went on two wheels around the final corner. The sight I saw shook me to my core. Flames were coming out of several windows of the daycare building. I parked the ambulance and ran over to a group of kids and a teacher I knew. "Where's Victoria?" "She and some others are still inside. Please help them." She didn't even finish her sentence before I was on the move. I ran through the open door, not sure of what I would face. Flames flashed around the door frame and I got singed. I'm not sure how I broke down the door to the classroom, but I did. There was teacher on the floor. I told her to have the kids crawl out the door. She and the kids had hystericked out when I heard, "Daddy, Daddy, help me!" It was Victoria. A bookshelf had fallen on her. I raised it up like it was made of paper, grabbed her and pulled her out. I put her under my arm and ran while kneeling towards the door, trying to keep from breathing the smoke. When we got to the front door, the teacher and the other kids were still there. The flames around the door were preventing them from leaving. Remembering what I had seen when I entered, I knew I just had to get them out the door. They were too scared of the flames to try to get out. There was not time to convince them to just quickly run through it. I threw the teacher through first, and then I hystericked throwing kids through the door, hoping the teacher or someone was there to get them further away from the building. Victoria and I were last, and my butt was on fire, literally. Once outside, put my butt out and breathed fresh air. I felt great. This is what I had trained for. This is what I had practiced with my toys as a child. This was... Victoria interrupted my self-congratulations. "Daddy, Chloe's still in there." "Oh, please, dear Lord, let her be wrong." I looked at the teacher who surveyed the rescued children. She looked at me with intense fear and shouted, "She went to the restroom before the fire broke out." I immediately prayed, "Dad, here I come. Either help me through this or have a place ready for me. If I die, I'll be there for supper." Before I could move forward, my chief grabbed me. "Charlie, I order you not to go back in there. You'll just get yourself killed. Do you hear me?" I slumped down as if obeying him in resignation of the facts. Then I spun and sucker punched the chief. He went down. I put on his fire coat, helmet, and oxygen. I ran for the door, which now was fully engulfed. My legs and feet were covered only with regular pants and shoes. As a result, my left leg and foot was burned entering the building. I could tell I was burned from the pain and the sickening smell of burning flesh. Before long, I realized I was not getting oxygen. The plastic tubes from the mask to the oxygen container had melted. I took off the mask and it felt like I was breathing in flames. I jogged my memory for the location of the bathroom. Somehow, I ignored the flames and opened the door to the bathroom and closed it back immediately. The bathroom gave me a brief respite. Chloe was lying on the floor, unconscious but breathing. I took one of the bathroom towels and dumped it in the commode, getting it as wet as possible, wrapping Chloe, especially her head, in the towel. I put her under my right arm and tried to channel Walter Payton breaking tackles to score a touchdown. The Flames acted as the waiting linebackers, using my left arm to stiff-arm the falling hot debris. Somehow, and I really don't know how, I made it out before I collapsed. I was dreaming. My face was a slab of fat sizzling on a frying pan, and I couldn't lift it off. I was sterically awake. "Doctor, he's awake!" The voice was familiar. I opened my eyes. It was my ex-wife, Amanda. Medical personnel came running. A nurse asked, "Mr. Davis, can you hear me?" I motioned for the nurse to come closer. I whispered as loudly as possible, "Get that woman out of here or I will sue you for $1 million. That was not what the nurse expected to hear, but a crying Amanda was escorted out. I left orders that I didn't want to see anyone except my fire crew. I wanted to see Victoria, but I didn't want her to see me. Not in the shape I was in then. I was curiously happy for two main reasons. They told me Chloe was alive, and I had a morphine pump. For months, I went through a variety of operations and skin grafts. My left leg was amputated, and my left arm and left side of my face severely burned. I could have gotten a job with The Walking Dead and not had to have makeup. The only visitors were firemen who told me how much better I looked now. Smarrickasses. I love them all. The city insurance paid all my medical and rehabilitation bills. I was given awards for bravery. But the best award I got was from Victoria and Chloe. They awarded me Daddy of the Year. I plan to keep the certificate they created and colored for the rest of my life. The rest of my life. What the hell was that going to be now? I couldn't be a fireman anymore. Too much damage with an amputated left leg and less than fully functional left arm. I was given a job with the EOC as a parak-time dispatcher to help supplement my disability payments. That pleased me. I managed to keep Amanda and Erica away from me. I rejected all efforts, verbal and written, for them to contact me. They managed, however, to get some surprising information to me indirectly. One of the visiting firemen informed me, "Man, you're not going to believe this. The man that stole your wife and whose daughter you rescued just joined up to be a fireman. You could have told me that all the news media had become Trump supporters, and I would have believed that before. What I just heard. I had to ask for more info. Yeah, he says that there is no way he could repay you for saving his daughter, but he could pay the deparachment and the community back for the loss of a fireman. He says he knows he can never be as good a fireman as you, but he will try his damn best. Don't worry, Charlie. We have been giving him a ton of shit because of what he did to you. He won't be able to... No. Leave him alone. Actually, I want you to help him. Man, have you been giving yourself too much morphine? He stole your wife and daughter." I smiled and said, "Think about it. My wife left me for him perishally because I was a fireman and he wasn't. This is rich. I can't think of a better revenge on her. She can't escape being a hypocrite. I love it. I also have my revenge on him. He has to live the rest of his life knowing the man he stole his wife from saved his precious daughter. I think I am the happiest crippled man." I smiled so hard it hurt the burned parak of my face. I pumped in more morphine rather than stop from grinning. With my spirits now lifted, I figured I was ready to see people, or rather let them see me. I asked to meet Eric first, which hopefully pissed my ex off a lot. I was getting better and better. Eric came in bawling like a baby. "Charlie, I owe you so much. I will do anything for you if it's in my power. Just ask me. You have refused to let me help pay your bills. I didn't know what to do. I just had to do something. My guilt at falling in love with your wife, and then there's my gratitude for saving you, saving my Chloe, Both were in my thoughts at all times, day and night. That's when I got the idea to become a fireman. If I can't pay you back, I can pay something back to the community for their loss." He appeared completely sincere while he continued to cry. Then he gathered himself. "Please let me bring in Chloe. She is dying to thank you." I agreed. Chloe came in the doorway, but then she wouldn't budge any further without Victoria. They both ran to my bed and were pleased to see their best dad certificate proudly displayed. After they looked at me, Chloe said, "You look scary." Victoria agreed. I said, "You are absolutely right, girls. You see, I once was a handsome prince, and then one day a mean old witch named Amanda kissed me and turned me into an ogre," Victoria said. "Daddy, that's silly." We had a great visit. I swear Victoria had grown during the time I was in the hospital. I knew then I didn't want to miss any more of my daughter's upbringing. Eric returned several times with the girls, but we also got to know each other better. Damn it if I didn't stare to really like the guy. It helped that he never asked me if I would agree to talk to Amanda. It was rare for him to mention her at all. During one of his last visits, I broached the subject I had been thinking about. "Eric, I hope we can reinstate my schedule of visitation. If Amanda and you agree, I would like to see Victoria more now that I'm not a fireman." Well, that would be more than acceptable for several reasons. For one, I'm now a fireman, and you know what that means as far as schedule goes. The other is that Amanda has left me and the girls. She said she was filing for divorce. Charlie, I think she fooled both of us. She may have even fooled herself. She thought our work schedules was damaging our marriages and time with the girls. Now I've come to believe she was just bad woman, excuse my French, because all the attention wasn't on her. When she could not convince me not to become a fireman, she just up and left. I am aware I need help with Victoria and Chloe. Your mother and Amanda's mother are helping temporarily. In addition, in case you haven't figured out, Victoria and Chloe are now an inseparable pair. You can't get one without the other. How could she just leave Victoria? And she must have bonded with Chloe some too. I think Amanda became jealous of Chloe. Victoria wanted to spend her time with Chloe instead of her mother. Amanda seemed to be by herself even when the four of us were in the same house. Her final comment after telling me she did not want custody was, "The girls seem to prefer their fathers anyway." Well, they can have you both. Eric, you're right. She was more bad woman up than I thought. Eric teared up again. Eric, Victoria and I will do whatever we can to help you and Chloe. Epilogue. At the writing of this story, Victoria and Chloe are about to graduate high school and go off to college. I moved in with Eric and the girls after rehab. The guys at the fire department chipped in and bought me a specially equipped minivan. Eric made the largest contribution. He really is a good man and has become a great fireman. With my coaching, of course. We traded off parenting and household duties. As you can imagine, with my limitations, it takes me longer to do my PERIC. Fortunately, we have found a couple of ladies to handle the girls-only issues our daughters have had. They also fulfill my and Eric's masculine needs. I am in the process of moving back into my old house I have been renting out. Eric and I both will probably have new roommates as soon as the girls go to college. I figure we will double date a lot. Unfortunately, I am trying to pack all the living I can into as little time as possible. The effects of the fire included a burned esophagus and lungs from breathing in fire and smoke. I have been given 6 months or so to live. I haven't told anyone. I don't want anyone to know until I can't hide it anymore. Amanda's mom still sees Victoria and Chloe frequently. She keeps us informed on Amanda. The last she said was that Amanda had had another child, but had divorced the father. Seems he cheated on her. I tried to be sympathetic. Well, maybe not very hard. The way I look at it, my rescue at the daycare allowed me to get my revenge on Amanda and Eric for over 10 years. I will have to be satisfied with that. The damned fire has managed to spoil my revenge against it. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Sorry, Dad. Talk to you soon. Subscribe to our channel to keep your partner from cheating on you? And listen to the next story because this story is nothing compared to the next.